Hey, welcome everybody to the November 15th board meeting of the Thurston Conservation District Board of Supervisors. As we just heard, this meeting is being recorded. And for the record, the people who are with us at this point in the evening, we have Supervisors Doug Rushton, Betsy DeBreda, and myself, TJ Johnson. We have Executive Director Sarah Moorhead. We have Rebecca Anderson from NRCS, and we have Alina Reynolds from the Department of Ecology. Looks like we don't have Ben back with us yet, so I'm assuming he'll be back along soon. Anyway, welcome everybody. First item up here is a review of our agenda. Are there any changes to what we have before us from either staff or board?
No.
All right, hearing none, I will need a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Moved
I'll
by
second
Doug.
it.
Betsy seconded. For three of us, this will be easy, I guess. Okay, all in favor here, we will go roll call. Doug?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We have approved our agenda. That takes us to consent. We only have one item on our consent agenda tonight. That's the minutes and notes from our October 25th board work session and meeting. And we'll need a motion on that.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved
Second.
by Betsy. And is there a second?
Doug second.
Okay, moved by Betsy, seconded by Doug. Hello, David, welcome. Just in time here, we're about to vote on the consent agenda. So we'll go through that. Betsy, you made the motion, you're up first. How do you vote?
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
and I will abstain because I was not at the meeting. So that will be 3 yeses and an abstention. So the consent agenda has passed. That moves us to public comment. This is the point at which any member of the public can address the board for up to 2 minutes on any topic of interest to the district. I don't think we have anyone from the public with us here, but I will stop and say, is there anyone that wishes to address us under public comment? Hearing none, we will close public comment and we will move on to partner reports. And first up is NRCS. Rebecca, welcome. You want to give us an update?
Yes, I sure do.
Great.
So in the past month or so, we have been working on the 36 equip applications and the 11 CSP app, or I'm sorry, the 13 CSP applications that we have for Thurston County. And so Friday is our deadline to get everybody fully eligible through Farm Service Agency's eligibility rigmarole so that they can go forward with the planning process as we move forward to submit the applications this year. We also went down to CPOP last week, the Cascadia Prairie and Oaks Conference. There were 4 of us from NRCS, including Robin. So he was down there as well. And so, you know, we got a lot of really good information down there that we can come back and share with the community. And yeah, those are the really big updates.
Any questions for Rebecca from anyone?
No, but thanks for getting all those eligible projects approved or moved through the system.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is politically correct for you to address, but I'd be curious to know a little bit more about the FSA rigmarole, because one of the issues we'll be considering in terms of resolutions at the WACD conference is some changes to FSA and whether the conservation districts want to suggest some things on that front. So I'm just curious, sort of your perspective, if there are particular roadblocks or particular things that are challenging that could be easily fixed.
Well, FSA has some forms that are written in governmentese. And so in the past, they haven't let NRCS fill those forms out with folks. This past year, they said that we could start helping them in the field and filling them out, which makes it a lot easier on the producers, on FSA and on NRCS to just kind of run through it and tell them what these questions are actually asking. The forms still have to go back and forth between FSA and the producer a few more times after that. And so I think that could be streamlined a little bit, because it's, I know it's a lot of work on both the producer and on FSA, and just questions of how exactly did I not fill this out correctly seems to be coming up a lot for producers. And so, yeah, maybe clarity on forms. And I know that's a hard thing to do because they're national forms that they have to use. But if there was one thing that could change, that would be it. That would be my recommendation.
I appreciate hearing that, because my experience when I received an EQIP grant and went through that process was it was hard and confusing. And I had spent enough time sort of dealing with government agencies and forms that I got through it, but I could imagine how people who haven't have a real challenge with that. So thank you for that information. And we'll think about that as we walk into WACD and consider some of these resolutions around FSA next week or 2 weeks from now.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
All right. With that, we don't have Jean Fike from Conservation Commission here tonight, so we'll skip her report, but we do have Doug here to talk about WACD and ACD.
Can we defer to Alina first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over Alina. My bad there. Sorry, Alina. Welcome. Did not mean to do that. So you're up next.
Total. Good, that's there. Sometimes this is not down. It's totally understandable, TJ. Also, my name's actually pronounced Elena, but everybody makes that confusing mistake, so it's all good. So I only have a couple updates for you all this evening. Number one is that the Terry Hussman pot, that grant funds, it's no longer available for this year due to a low revenue levels. So that's not going to be available, but we do anticipate it to open again in January of 2024. And historically, those grant fund dollars have been used to implement projects to address water quality issues and provide habitat protection to aquatic ecosystems. However, the funding will be available for applicants that are able to apply them to environmental emergencies. So as an example, back in November of 2021, heavy rains caused a lot of manure lagoons to overtop in Whatcom County, and we were able to work with their local district to get them funds to assist landowners with pumping and being able to store it in a place that is protective of water quality. So that's an example of something that was able to be implemented under environmental emergencies. And that's available throughout the year. Any questions on that? I have one more update after that, or two actually. Okay. Sorry.
Continue on.
Okay, on it. The second update I wanted to let you all know about is that there was this one site that your staff was able to do a site visit on that is along a tributary that drains into the Skookumchuck. This landowner has not made any progress towards implementing changes. And so there may be a warning letter down the pike for that specific landowner. That's it. Just a heads up.
And that's in Thurston County?
It is in Thurston County, yeah. It's on a tributary. Lastly, we have full staff again. Travis Casey has recently taken Hannah Coe's old position for the South counties that drain into the coastal watersheds, and he just started a couple weeks ago, and his formal announcement will come out in a couple weeks. But I just wanted to let you all know that we have a full staff. Travis will be the point person for concerns that may be applicable to water quality in watersheds that do not drain into the sound. So anything south, he would be the point person for.
Thank you. Any questions from board or staff? All right, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Elena.
And so now we'll jump back to Doug for WACD, NACD.
Okay, and I do have a tidbit for the Conservation Commission too. I had a conversation with Dean Longery, who is the Southwest Washington. He's out of Clark CD. He's the representative on the commission from our area. He had told me that he's going to go for another term. So he's been pretty effective and a good advocate for CD. So I think that'll be a good thing. As far as WACD goes, the big thing coming up is the annual meeting, which you all know about that. And I wish you could all go, but that's the way that is. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. NACD, you got my written report on that, as well as the WACD. And a couple things, TJ, I know you're interested in the Farm Bill, the 2023 Farm Bill, and the upshot of what's going on there. And I sent just before this meeting to you a link to the latest version of the NACD president's testimony before the House Ag Committee from September. And in our Natural Resources Policy Committee meeting this afternoon, we were told that that's still the latest version of what's going on. So I thought you might be interested in that. If the rest of the board or staff wants it, I can sure send it to them as well. And the other NACD tidbit is, you may not even heard of Megan Delernia. She was hired in the government affairs shop at NACD about 6 weeks ago. And she's leaving now to go to NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So if you're interested in working out of DC, there's your big chance. And if you have questions on the reports that I submitted, just let me know. I want to make sure you guys have the information you want.
Doug, just on the issue of the Farm Bill, a couple of weeks back, I was contacted by Beth Dolio, who was running for the 22nd district, and she was curious about Farm Bill and issues with that. She was doing some outreach on behalf of Congressperson Marilyn Strickland. And so Beth and I talked, and I directed her to the NACD Farm Bill information, as well as some of the stuff I've been participating in with the American Farmland Trust. And she passed that information on to Representative Strickland. And now, of course, Beth won her election, so she's back in the state legislature. And so I felt like it was a chance to kind of, bring her up to speed on some of the issues that we're thinking about in the conservation world about Farm Bill stuff. So at any rate, just so that you know, that happened. And we got Marilyn Strickland connected to the NACD stuff.
Good.
Okay. Thank you for those reports. With that, we'll close partner reports and move on to item 6, which is Resolution 2022-04, establishing the date, time, place, and method of the 2023 TCD election. So this is the action we need to take to put things into motion for the election that we'll host next, or we'll have next spring. for the seat currently held by David. So we looked at this resolution in the past and it's up for action tonight. Sarah, is there anything further to say about that, or are we ready to move on it?
Before I say that, I think Doug was trying to make a comment.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna make a motion that we adopt resolution 2022-04 on our 2023 district election.
Okay, Doug has made the motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Betsy. Okay, comments, questions on the resolution before us? Not, we will move to a vote. Doug,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So we have approved that resolution 4-0, and the wheels can start turning on our next election. That moves us to item 7, Conservation Education Center Feasibility Study, the Phase 2 RFQ 2022-09. We spent some time talking about this in our work session earlier this evening, and our subcommittee had come up with this draft, and the board got a chance to review it earlier, and so now it's up for action tonight. So is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the request for qualifications.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by David and seconded by Doug to approve the RFQ. We'll take a vote on that motion. David,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Betsy, Betsy. I think we've potentially lost Betsy. Does anybody else see her screen frozen?
Oh, she's moving now.
Now she's moving. Are you hearing us, Betsy?
I'm hearing you. I'm Zoom
we can
quit
hear you.
unexpectedly. I'll have to get back in.
We hear you right now.
Okay.
So how do you vote on the RFQ?
I vote to approve it.
Okay, and chair votes aye as well. So we've approved the RFQ on a vote of 4-0. Thank y'all. That moves us on to governance. Only one item under governance tonight, which is to take a look at the topic lists and agenda for next month. Meeting, as a reminder, will be 5 days before the Christmas holiday. It will be on December 20th.
Oops, sorry about that. Every time I take it out of read-only mode, it shuts down.
Yeah,
we go.
we talked about eliminating the COVID stuff, which I think Sarah just did that.
Taken out. Okay. Anything people seeing, comments or questions on this draft agenda? The big item, of course, is we will approve our budget, 2023 budget at this meeting next month.
I'm gonna add that as well as a placeholder executive session.
That's right. We talked about that earlier. Well, we have the budget under governance already. 7A.
It probably should be its own standing item, if that's okay with the board.
I agree. So we'll put that there, and then we'll add a potential executive session to discuss real estate transactions and possibly other things.
I'll copy all those RCWs after the meeting.
Okay, great. All right. So there's our draft. Lots of time to modify it, but there we are for this evening. All right. Let's bump back to tonight's agenda. And look at that. Speaking of executive sessions, here we are. We've come to that point in tonight's meeting. So we have 2 executive sessions scheduled this evening. The first is to discuss the performance of our executive director. We have a timeline for annual performance review, and tonight we will have an executive session with the board members to talk about that process. At the conclusion of that executive session, which will last no more than 10 minutes, we will come back in and report out on that. And then we will go back in for a second executive session that will include all the members of the board as well as the executive director and our legal counsel. And that second executive session is to discuss potential litigation with our counsel. That second executive session will last no more than 15 minutes, at which point we will then come back again, report out from that, and adjourn our public meeting. So with that, Sarah, can you get us set up to move into a breakout room? And then the four of us, the board members, will move into that breakout room for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Betsy seems to have been bumped off, so when she logs back in, I will get her into the room with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn off the owl camera for now and exit the room. Doug will remain on his computer for that executive session.
Okay, and Doug, you let us know when Sarah's out of the room and we're ready to go.
I suppose I should exit the room too, if this is the way we're doing it.
No, I'm exiting the physical room. Doug and I are in the same physical room. You and I are not
Oh,
included in
got
that.
it. Perfect. All right, thanks.
Yeah. You'll have to turn on your sound though, Doug.
Yeah, just.
Betsy, I'm gonna add you to the breakout room with the rest of the board if I can.
Should I push the leave button? Oh, there we go. Okay, got it.
Hello, Sarah, are you back here in this room?
I am in this room and I can join you in the other executive session.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure since I wasn't sure how you and Doug were doing the dance there in the office. So I will report back at this point that we just completed an executive session related to the annual evaluation of our executive director. I received direction from the board. No decisions were made. And now we will be going into a second executive session that will include all the members of the board as well as the executive director and our counsel, Mr. Cushman. The topic of this second executive session is to discuss potential legal issues. So the other board members are already in the breakout room. Sarah and Ben, if you join us in that breakout room, we'll all go over there for 15 minutes and talk about that topic. Sarah, I don't have a option to get back into the breakout. Let's see. Okay, we have returned from executive session where we discussed potential litigation with our executive director and our legal counsel. We received an update. No decisions were made in that executive session. And with that, the last item before us this evening is to adjourn our meeting. So I'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay, I think David made the motion and Betsy got the second. We'll vote on the motion of adjournment. David,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Doug, chair votes aye. So it is 7:15 p.m. We are now adjourned. Thank you all for a productive and efficient meeting. And we'll see you next month, if not before.
It's good to have you back, TJ.